Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Squid Game, Season 1, Episode 9, One Lucky Day, is the final episode in Season 1 of Squid Game. And for those that are new, that have not listened to this show before, every Tuesday, I've been recapping an episode by episode of the show Squid Game, which you can find on Netflix. Obviously, it's one of the biggest shows ever, especially last year. And if you don't want that to be spoiled, then I suggest just skipping this episode, move on to tomorrow's episode, because that's what I'm doing. I'm talking about the entire episode beat by beat, and that's what I'm going to start doing right now at this moment. As we last left the Squid Game, Sang-woo murdered Sae-byeok. She was hurting. She was bleeding. She probably wouldn't have survived anyway. Gi-hun trying to get help. But while Gi-hun's back was turned, Sang-woo decided to insert his steak knife into her neck, thus ending her life. So our two finalists in this episode are number 218, Sang-woo, and number 456, Gi-hun. Sang-woo still has the Sae-byeok's blood splattered over his face. One of the pink jumpsuits. They're flipping a coin to see who goes first in the final game of the Squid Games. And Gi-hun, the winner, gets to choose if they're offense or defense. Gi-hun wins and chooses offense, clearly just shooting daggers with his eyes into Sang-woo. Gi-hun's not a happy man. He is very angry. He saw Sang-woo kill somebody on the glass bridge in order to further his progress, but also killed Sae-byeok, who, wasn't looking good, but Gi-hun has heart. Gi-hun has heart, and he sees how evil Sang-woo is. And so Gi-hun wins the coin flip, chooses offense, and the final game is Squid Game, which is the game that we were introduced to in the very beginning of the very first episode when Gi-hun and Sang-woo were children. This is a game that they played, and a game that Gi-hun remembered when finding victory, when gaining victory, the pure joy that he would have. But they're playing this game. VIPs are still watching for some reason. Like, it's kind of weird. Because we had the last episode we only saw the VIPs 2 episodes ago, right? One of their guys gets knocked out, and all the VIPs are still there. It's like they act like nothing happened 2 episodes ago. But it is what it is. The VIPs are there looking at this game through their tiny little window, which it's not a tiny window, but considering the fact that this whole thing, the whole compound, the people, the money, all of this stuff is a form of entertainment for these VIPs, you would think that they would have a better viewing situation, a little bit more front and center to get a great view. But they got their view, whatever. But they're still there. When they talk about this game, like they describe this game as being the most violent kids game. And the rules of the game are kind of weird. I don't really understand them, but that's okay. I don't need to understand chess to enjoy Queen's Gambit. I don't need to understand soccer to enjoy Ted Lasso. I can just understand victory and loss and momentum, right? Those are things that are kind of universal for any kind of competition. So they're both taken to the Squid Game, same kind of area that they played, red light, green light. So it's a familiar area, familiar space that they've been, but now they have the squid, the diagram of the squid on the ground. And in preparation, Gi-hun goes down to tie his shoe, picks up a fistful of sand. And you could tell, like, in the eyes of Gi-hun, we are seeing Gi-hun in a way we've never seen him before. Like, there is the anger that he has towards Sang-woo has given him the ultimate confidence of, like, there is no way you are going to beat me at this game that they've played. They have both tons of experience playing and apparently Gi-hun pretty good at. But he grabs the sand, and in one of the first moves where he has to travel across the neck, he has to travel through basically the area where Sang-woo can attack him. It's like the first area in which he can attack him. Gi-hun just struts right towards him, and as he's about to attack him, throws the sand in his face. Sang-woo can't see, and Gi-hun just calmly, never breaking stride, never changing his pace, just walks calmly right across that neck area. Just like you have already lost. Like, I have won. I am so confident in my victory that I've already had that you have no chance. Walks right across. And now he has to get through him to get to the head of the squid. Right? And Sang-woo has to try and either kill him or push him out of the squid barrier in order to win. But what happens is a fight, which they both have knives. They both have their steak knives still from their fancy steak dinners. And it's a fight, a back and forth fight. It starts to rain. Gi-hun winning, right? Not overly dominating, but clearly winning this fight until Sang-woo gets the knife, gets one of the knives that's fallen, stabs Gi-hun in the leg, and then again in the gut. Gi-hun down on his knees goes to he blocks, right? He's down. Sang-woo lunges down to stab him in the face. Gi-hun blocks it with his hand, getting the knife stabbed through his hand. Just kind of like just running on autopilot at this point, just trying to survive. Gi-hun just mind blocking the pain, knife in hand, bites a chunk out of Sang-woo's ankle, takes the knife out of his hand, and then when he goes to lunge to finish him, instead he stabs the sand next to him because Gi-hun has heart. He has compassion. He may not be the best dad. He may be a complete degenerate. He may have a gambling issue, right? He's not a perfect person. He is a degenerate, but he values human life. Unlike Sang-woo, who's given up trying to value human life. And in an effort to try and make it right, he tries to convince Sang-woo to quit, which, as I said before, which means they don't get any of the prize money. Which it seemed like before, like they thought they were, but no, they know. Quitting means they don't get any of the prize money. It gets distributed to all the people who failed and were eliminated. It gets distributed to all their families. Gi-hun wants to quit. He doesn't want another life taken because of this game. It's not worth it to him. But Sang-woo it's either victory or death for him. So he ends up taking the knife and stabbing himself in the throat. And Gi-hun cries over his dead body. And it's brutal. It's a brutal scene. I mean, a great battle between the two of them. You have Sang-woo, who is this guy that Gi-hun put up on a pedestal for the whole season. He's the pride of his hometown. He went to this prestigious college. He's got this great job. But also, he's made so many mistakes that he is in the same place as Gi-hun. He is in massive financial debt and needs this money to not only get himself out of debt, but also to help protect and keep his family safe that will lose everything if he's unable to pay these debts. So he ends up killing himself. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day, but go to inspireddisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF, that stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out, browse the entire collection, and when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10%. As a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. What is that? No, that's it. So Gi-hun wins. Gi-hun wins. He wins the $45.6 billion, which is interesting that the prize money is the same number as, which I guess that makes sense because they were all worth a certain amount, but Gi-hun being the last person to join Squid Game, his number being 456, the prize money being 456. Very interesting. Just another one of those times. There's been a few moments in this show where the numbers have kind of there's kind of some redundancy with the same numbers being used, like his daughter's birthday being his grandma's PIN number, also the horse that he wins on the first episode where he wins on the horse race that was her birthday as well. There's kind of repetition there, but in this finale where he wins this money, 45.6 billion won, which equals, where do I have that? It equals like 38 point. Oh, did I not write it down? It's like $38 million, $38.5 million or something like that. I have it written down here. $38.8 million in American is what the final prize money is that he wins. And, of course, the PIN number, so he gets, after the Squid Game, basically cut to, he's in a limo with he's blindfolded in a limo. The front man is there with his mask off, and he's trying to ask the front man why. Why is this happening? And the front man's like, listen, you're racehorses. You know betting on racehorses. You go and bet on racehorses. Remember, you won. Bet your daughter's birthday. You won. You didn't say that, but, we know as the audience. But that's all you are, which was something that was mentioned earlier in the show, I believe by another one of the players, that they understood what was going on. They understood that they were just horses in a horse race. They're just there for people to bet on and watch them compete. There's no real concern for their livelihood or safety or any of that stuff. That's all they are. They are this thing. They are this form of entertainment for wealthy people. But he doesn't really go into it. It's just, he just tells them that, like, you're just racehorses. So he goes, he gets dropped off, obviously gets gassed as well. The front man puts his mask back on. The gas fills the limo, and the front man just drops off Gi-hun back in Seoul, Korea, where, a Jesus freak that's preaching on the street comes and takes his blindfold off as Gi-hun wakes up. He has a debit card in his mouth that he coughs up. You see Gi-hun go to an ATM, where he puts the debit card in, doesn't know what the PIN number is, but guesses 0456, which is his number, which is the prize money also. And of course it is. He takes out 10,000 won, which equals about $8 in US. just to see what would happen. He sees his balance now that he took the 10,000 won out. And then cuts to, then he's walking through the fish market where Sang-woo's mom has her little market, her little outdoor kind of pop-up. She's there. She sees him. He's all beat up. She thinks he got in another fight. She runs back to her market, grabs a bag. She's like, here's some mackerel, which, by the way, I've used mackerel as fish bait before back in the days when I used to fish. Mackerel stinks, bro. Mackerel is like the strongest smelling fishy smell that you can have. So eating that, probably, I would imagine it is one of the cheaper type of fish that people eat. I could be wrong, but that's my experience with mackerel. But she gives him some mackerel to take home to his grandma. He tries to give her the 10,000 won. She refuses it. She's like, if you have money, give it to your mom. Did I say grandma? Give it to your mom. And so he goes back home. And she said that she hadn't seen, which I didn't realize, his mom works with Sang-woo's mom at that fish market, I think. Or maybe they have shops next to each other. But she hadn't seen her in a couple days. So Gi-hun goes home, and he finds his mom on the ground, no longer alive. So in the process of going to the Squid Game, his mom didn't survive, despite the fact that he has all the money for her to go to the hospital to get the medical treatment, to let her rest and recover for once. It's too late. Too little, too late. It's a lot, but it's way too late. Having 46 billion won doesn't do you any good to help your mom when she's already dead. But he sees her face down. And then it cuts to a year later, where he's still traumatized from everything. He's grown his hair out, he's grown his beard out, he's riding the subway. He ends up getting this card. No, not yet. He's on a subway to the bank. The bank hits him up because he shows up, and the person in charge of this bank's like, is everything okay? You haven't touched your money. Aside from the 10,000 won, the $8 you pulled out of the ATM, you haven't touched your money. You don't get good interest on your savings account, this basic savings account that this money's in. So we'd like to get you in some services that we have for our VIPs to help you grow your money. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care about any of that money. He doesn't want to touch that money. It's blood money. It represents all the people that died. He doesn't want to touch it. But he asked this bank manager guy to borrow 10,000 won, which he gladly does because he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He thinks he's a wealthy dude, and he's asking for the equivalent of $8. So he's like, yeah, sure, here's $8. So next you see Gi-hun. He's on the shores by some, of the coast, just kind of watching the water at night, drinking a beer or whatever that he got. And this old lady comes up who sells flowers. This flower lady shows up, and she's like, listen, it's the night. Nobody's going to buy any flowers. Could you please buy some flowers? Can you buy a flower from me? It's so late. Nobody's going to buy flowers, so hopefully you can. So he buys a flower. And on that flower is a little black envelope with a pink ribbon on it. He opens it up. It's a gold card inside with the Squid Game symbols, the circle and square and triangle. And on the back, it has a message. Go to, on December 24th, at 11:30 p.m., go to the 7th floor of the Sky Building, and it's signed gganbu. So, of course, episode gganbu was the marble episode where Gi-hun pinky promised the old man that they were going to be each other's gganbu. They were going to be that friend that was always there for them and let them, It's like the episode that was such a betrayal, where Gi-hun formed this bond with the old man, but then also tried to, gaslight him into losing. And the old man knew it. But also, one of the only deaths we never saw happen. We never saw an aftermath. We never saw the dead body of the old man. Unlike Ali, we didn't see Ali die, but we definitely saw his dead body at the beginning of the next episode. So gganbu, the old man, which is not his name, but that's their nickname for each other. That's their friendly name. So he ends up goes up to this building. Old man in a hospital bed with a ventilator and all the things hooked up to him. And Gi-hun wants to know why. Why did you do this? And the old man doesn't want to do it. He's like, he wants to play another game. Looks down. There's a drunk dude, posted up against the little half wall. Not doing good. It's snowing. It's cold. The old man's like, I bet you if that nobody's going to help that man. Let's play a game, right? I bet you by the stroke of midnight, nobody's going to come through and help that man. Now, if somebody does, then you win. If nobody does, I win. And Gi-hun's like, okay, well, if I win, you got to tell me what happened. You got to tell me why. What is the purpose of all this? Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. So as they're waiting, the old man, Il-nam, which is his name, the old man number 1 from Squid Game, tells him how, like, when you're a wealthy man, it's like being a poor man. There is no fun in life. Obviously, for different reasons. The ultra wealthy just get bored. There's no other things to conquer. It's just anything can happen at any moment. You can afford to make things happen. There's no real challenge in life anymore. So the reason he started the Squid Game was to give the ultra wealthy people a form of excitement that they don't get. Seeing humans compete in deadly games is something you can only get in this situation, in the Squid Game. To be a VIP in the Squid Game is like, it is a rare opportunity to see something that nobody else would see. And this old man, knowing that he had a tumor, which the tumor's real, I mean, he's hooked up to all these machines. The reason why he wanted to go in the Squid Game is because it's better to participate than to spectate. Right? It just even the spectating of these Squid Games, seeing people lose their lives competing in these childhood games wasn't enough for him, and he wanted to. It's like he was chasing that dragon of fun. Right? He's betting about this guy on the street's livelihood, whether humanity is going to do anything about him, for fun. He had people tug of war, drop to their deaths for fun. People being shot for playing red light, green light. That's fun. That's the only way he could have fun. It's the only way any of these ultra wealthy people can have fun. But it wasn't enough. It didn't become fun after a while. It no longer was fun. So he decided to participate. Also, he's got this tumor, so it's not like he had a lot of time left. But, I mean, he could have lost. The old man could have died. Right? Not every game was set up like marbles, where it just, the pink jumpsuit guy doesn't shoot him. If he was playing tug of war and he got pulled off that cliff, he's falling like everybody else. If he's on that glass bridge and he jumps to the wrong pane of glass, gravity is not going to spare his life because he's the guy that set the Squid Game stuff up. So just as midnight approaches, there's somebody that that walked by and saw the guy on the ground and kind of, looked at him, but then just walked away. Really felt like nobody was going to help this guy. But seconds before midnight, a cop shows up with that same guy that saw him before, and then a cop, and they go and they save him. And Gi-hun's like, look, there is humanity. There is compassion. One of the few things that Gi-hun possessed throughout the Squid Games. He had some compassion for human life, where people like Sang-woo just jettisoned that emotion completely, where clearly all the VIPs haven't had that emotion for most of their life, if not ever. Gi-hun possessed that kind of that compassion for human life. And when the guy, despite the fact that Gi-hun didn't go downstairs to help him himself, somebody did help him. He got help. But as he turned around, as the clock strikes 12, as the grandfather clock is doing its ding-dongs, Il-nam is no longer alive. Il-nam passed away and is dead. And then there's this flashback to Il-nam taking off his golden mask back in the Squid Game, back in the kind of the quarters for the front man. You see him take his mask off and set it down, and he's having a conversation, and the front man is asking him why he wants to participate. And again, he says, it's better to be in the games. It's more exciting to be in the games than to watch it. So then it's cut to Gi-hun's getting a haircut. I mean, it's clear that he's like, okay, I'm going to do something with this money now. He's whatever. He got whatever he needed to at least move on. So he's getting a haircut. He goes to Sae-byeok's brother, goes to the foster care place, and they have little things like, oh, did you know my sister? It's like, oh, he doesn't know that she's dead, right? And Gi-hun doesn't tell him. But he takes her brother to Sang-woo's mom and asks her to take care of him, which she is more than happy to. She doesn't know that her son is dead either. So it's kind of their and neither of them know, that kid doesn't know that her son killed his sister. But she cares about people. She cares about this kid, and she effortlessly takes him in, gives him some food, talks about oh, we need to get you a jacket. She opens up a suitcase to see if there's a jacket in there, and the suitcase, as she opens it up, is just full of money. Full of money. She opens up the other side of the suitcase, full of money. There's a note, and the note says from Gi-hun, this is money that I owed Sang-woo. Right? So he gave them a share. So then he's on his way to the airport, right? He's going to go see his daughter in L.A. And when he's at the subway station, he sees across the tracks, he sees the Pog guy. What was that game called again? It's ddakji. He sees the ddakji guy on the other side of the tracks playing that same game with another desperate guy. So Gi-hun drops everything, runs up the stairs, runs back down the stairs on the other side. By the time he gets there, the dude is inside the closed subway and takes off. So the desperate guy is still there. So he goes, pins the guy up, and tells him no, steals the card from him. Right? He doesn't want him to participate in this thing. It's like, it's not worth it, bro. You don't even know. You don't even know, but just trust me. I've been there. I've done that. I survived. I won the game. And you shouldn't do it. So he steals the card, heads to the airport. He's at the airport, right? Boarding call from a flight to L.A. Everybody get on board. So he's walking on the skyway, the thing to get onto the plane. Calls the number as he's walking. Gives him his name, right, and his birth date, and the guy on the phone, front man, he's like, "Oh, Gi-hun, what are you doing, Gi-hun? Go see your daughter. Go to L.A., get on the plane, go see your daughter." He knows what they're up to. They keep tabs on everybody that survives, that wins. They have tabs on all the winners. He's like, "Go on the plane to see your daughter." And he's like, "Why are you still doing this?" And then, in another form of, defiance, he decides, "No, I'm not going on this plane. I'm going to go and assume." I mean, he turns around and then, he's walking away from the camera while he's talking, going towards the plane. But then when he decides, he turns around, he's coming back towards the camera. And you could tell that he's like, "I'm going to go in there. I'm going to wreck shit. I'm going to figure out what's going on, and I'm going to tear it down." And that's how it ends. That's how this season 1 ends. Clearly setting up for a season 2. Despite the fact that the writer, the creator of the show, assumingly didn't have any plans for a season 2 or season 3. Now they're not only greenlit for a season 2, they're in talks for a season 3, which I would love. I would love a 3-season arc for all this stuff. Now, after the events of Squid Game, it was a year later when a lot of this stuff takes place, so it feels like the cop didn't survive. Like, if the cop somehow survived after getting shot in the shoulder, falling in the water, like the evidence didn't get put through, or they just have people in the police that are in their pocket, which is also, I mean, the ultra rich they never get in trouble for anything because they own everything. So that could have been a thing too. Maybe he did survive, but nobody believes him, and he's just locked in an insane asylum somewhere. Right? He's locked up somewhere as a crazy person, which they could write it that way, I guess. But in the reality of the show, he didn't succeed. The cop did not succeed. And Gi-hun is going back into it, which, on some level, it sucks that he didn't go see his daughter. But it's not like she's on her own. He knows he's not a good dad. He knows that her mom is a good mom and that her stepdad is a good dude too. Like, he knows that she is taken care of. Now, it's also not the first time he's disappointed her, so it's easy to disappoint somebody you've already disappointed. So he does still have that selfish kind of like, I'm going to do this thing. Although he has money, maybe he sent them money. Who knows what he does with the money? The money, like, he clearly is starting to spend it after Il-nam dies. He's clearly spending. He gave a big chunk of it to Sang-woo's mom. But yeah, I'm super excited to see season 2, to see where it goes, to see what happens, to see, does he go back and participate? Do they try to recruit him to be you know, because how did the frontman was a former winner of the Squid Game and then somehow became the guy running it, especially once Il-nam decided to participate. The frontman became like the guy in charge. So it's interesting. I'm super looking forward to seeing how it all goes. I super enjoyed this show. I also don't think that the subsequent seasons necessarily have to focus on the games as much, because we have Gi-hun, unless he's going back to participate for some reason. Like, I don't know. I'm very curious. It can go in a lot of different directions when they bring the show back. So I'm curious to see how it goes. For me personally, recapping episode by episode of the show, a Korean language show, definitely struggled with the names. I apologize if my pronunciation when I watch the show, they are not producing Gi-hun and Sang-woo's name the same way I am pronouncing it. Sae-byeok is kind of similar. So there is that. I apologize for any inaccuracies there. But I love the show, and I love the characters. Even the characters I hated, like Min-yo, number 212, one of the most annoying characters ever. She had the greatest kind of redemption scene where she Duk-soo, when she brought Duk-soo down literally during the glass bridge. Sae-byeok was an amazing character. But yeah, kind of some redemption for him at the end, for Gi-hun at the end of this. But ultimately, still a lot of unanswered questions, still, on some ways, unanswered questions. But nothing, like, the thing's still going on. The machine is still rolling. And Gi-hun not having a purpose, which, you know, for what Il-nam said, how, you know, the similarities that poor people and rich people have is that life is no longer fun. Gi-hun went from the poverty version of life not being fun, where it's just a constant grind to try and survive, versus now he has all of the money that he could ever need. Like there's no more challenge now, because he has all the money that he could need. So he's never lived a life in that. Maybe he did earlier, before, you know, his factory went on strike and all that, where he was living a life that had fun in it. But he's existed in a life with zero fun, and experienced the zero fun from the poverty side, and now the ultra rich side. Which $38 million isn't ultra rich when you consider people like Jeff Bezos and the Tesla guy. Blanking on his name for some reason, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, Squid Game. Season 1, Episode 9, the end of the season. I'll be back with another show next Tuesday. I don't know which one yet. But yeah, and when Season 2 comes out, I will bring this back. I'll be doing episode recaps when that comes back as well. So, Squid Game Season 2, TBD, TBA, STD, TGIF. Later. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.